The Ancient Protocol. The Galactic Commonwealth had known peace for 3 millennia. Across 1,000 star systems and 10,000 worlds, the various species of the galaxy had lived in harmony, their differences celebrated rather than contested. Trade routes flourished, cultural exchanges blossomed, and the very concept of war had become nothing more than a historical footnote, studied by scholars with the same detached curiosity one might examine ancient artifacts. In the grand chambers of the Commonwealth Council on Nexus Prime, representatives from every member species gathered for what was expected to be another routine session. The crystalline architecture of the chamber caught and refracted the light from twin suns, creating a kaleidoscope of colors that danced across the assembled diplomats. Ambassador Takara of the Velothian hegemony was discussing agricultural quotas when the emergency alert shattered the tranquil atmosphere. "Honored delegates," announced the Central Eye, its voice resonating through the chamber, "we have detected an anomalous energy signature at the edge of the outer rim. The pattern does not match any known natural phenomenon." The chamber erupted into concerned murmurs. Ambassador Kirix, a gelatinous being from the methane world of Fool, pulsed with agitation. "Surely this is merely a stellar anomaly. Our peace has lasted 3,000 years. What could possibly threaten us now?" Human Ambassador Rachel Chen remained noticeably silent, her expression unreadable as she studied the data scrolling across her personal display. Unlike her colleagues, who wore ornate ceremonial garments, Chen's attire was subtly different, practical, almost military in its cut, though few would recognize the significance. The Praetor of the Commonwealth, an ancient Eltharian whose species had initiated the Great Peace, raised a crystalline appendage for silence. "The readings are unusual, but let us not leap to conclusions. We shall dispatch a science vessel to investigate." "With respect, Praetor," Chen finally spoke, her voice cutting through the chamber's chatter, "I recommend a more cautious approach." The assembled delegates turned to her, surprise evident in their various physiologies. Humans were known as traders, artists, and diplomats. To hear one speak of caution regarding what was clearly a scientific matter seemed out of character. "Ambassador Chen." The Praetor's tone carried a hint of condescension. "Surely you don't suggest this phenomenon poses a threat? We have transcended such primitive concerns." Chen stood, her bearing suddenly different, straighter, more commanding. "Praetor, honored delegates, there's something you should know. Something humanity has kept from you, not out of malice, but out of necessity." She paused, weighing her next words carefully. "We never forgot how to wage war." The chamber fell into stunned silence. The very word war seemed alien in this place of peace and prosperity. 3,000 years ago, Chen continued, when the last great conflict ended and the Commonwealth was formed, every species destroyed their weapons, disbanded their armies, and embraced peace completely. Every species, except humanity. Outrage rippled through the assembly. Ambassador Kirix's form turned a deep purple of indignation. "This is an outrage, a betrayal of everything the Commonwealth stands for." Chen raised her hand. "Let me finish. We didn't keep our weapons out of aggression or mistrust. We kept them because we knew. We've always known. That peace is not the natural state of the universe. It's something that must be guarded, protected, and sometimes fought for." She manipulated her display, and a holographic document appeared in the center of the chamber. "I present to you the Phoenix Protocol, enacted by United Earth Command 3 millennia ago. While we participated fully in the peace, we also prepared for the day it might end." The document detailed a vast network of hidden installations, mothball fleets, and dormant defense systems scattered throughout human space and beyond. Training programs that never stopped, research that never ceased, and a vigilance that never wavered. The Praetor's crystalline form flickered with distress. This is impossible. Our sensors would have detected." "Your sensors see what they expect to see," Chen interrupted. "And for 3,000 years, you expected peace. We showed you peace, but we prepared for war." As if on cue, her communicator chimed. Chen listened intently, her expression growing grimmer. The anomaly has resolved into solid contacts. Multiple vessels of unknown configuration, approaching at superluminal speeds. They're not responding to our hails, and their energy signatures, she paused, are consistent with weapons charging. The peaceful assembly descended into chaos. Species that hadn't known conflict for generations panicked, their diplomatic composure shattering like glass. Through it all, Chen stood unmoved, already issuing commands through her communicator. Phoenix Protocol. Authorization. Chen, Alpha 779. Condition read. All units, activate and prepare for immediate deployment. Across human space, things long hidden began to stir. On dead moons and in asteroid fields, massive doors opened for the first time in centuries. Ships that appeared on no registry powered up their reactors. Men and women in uniforms that hadn't been worn openly for 3 millennia took their posts. The Praetor, overwhelmed by the sudden turn of events, turned to Chen. What do we do? Chen's response was immediate. You do what you've forgotten how to do, Praetor. You let us protect you. In the depths of space, the approaching force materialized from hyperspace, a vast armada of vessels unlike anything the Commonwealth had ever encountered. Their hulls were black as the void, absorbing light rather than reflecting it. Energy weapons powered up, casting an eerie glow that seemed to devour the stars themselves. And between them and the peaceful worlds of the Commonwealth, the first human warships dropped out of stealth, their weapons systems coming online with a coordinated precision that spoke of endless preparation for this very moment. The commander of the lead human vessel, the dreadnought Eternal Vigilance, opened a channel to the alien fleet. Captain Sarah Kovac, descendant of a long line of warriors who had served in secret, delivered humanity's message. Unknown vessels, you are entering Commonwealth space. State your intentions or be fired upon. This is your only warning. The aliens' response came not in words, but in violence. Energy beams lanced through space, aimed at the human ships. The beams struck not hull plating, but advanced shield systems that flared brilliantly, dissipating the energy harmlessly. The human ships returned fire with weapons that shouldn't have existed. Weapons developed in secret, tested in isolation, and now revealed in humanity's moment of need. Back in the council chamber, Ambassador Chen watched the tactical display with grim satisfaction. For 3,000 years, we've been your shield without you knowing it. Today, that shield becomes a sword. The Praetor, watching the battle unfold with a mixture of horror and awe, finally understood. You knew this day would come. We hoped it wouldn't, Chen replied. We prayed for eternal peace, but we prepared for war. Because that's what humans do. We hope for the best, but we prepare for the worst. As the first battle of the new war raged in the depths of space, humanity's true nature was revealed to the galaxy. They were not just traders and diplomats, artists and scientists. They were guardians, protectors, warriors who had never forgotten the skills that had ensured their survival throughout their turbulent history. The fire of war had returned to the galaxy after 3 millennia of peace, but humanity was ready. They had always been ready. Awakening the Phoenix. The Situation Room aboard the Eternal Vigilance hummed with controlled chaos as data streams from the first engagement poured in. Captain Sarah Kovac stood at the central holotable, her eyes scanning the tactical display with practiced efficiency. The initial contact had gone as well as could be expected, but this was only the beginning. Report, she ordered, her voice carrying the weight of command generations in the making. 17 enemy vessels engaged, 6 confirmed destroyed, responded her tactical officer, Lieutenant Commander James Wong. Their shields are adaptive, but our Prometheus cannons are keeping them off balance. However, he hesitated, we're detecting a much larger force massing at the system's edge. This was just their vanguard. Kovac nodded grimly. As we suspected, open a priority channel to Fleet Command. The face of Admiral Marcus Drake materialized on the main screen, his weathered features betraying no emotion despite the gravity of the situation. Drake was a legend among those who knew of humanity's hidden military, the architect of the Phoenix Protocol's modern implementation. Admiral, Kovac reported, "First contact confirms our worst-case scenarios. We're dealing with a full invasion force." Drake's response was measured. "Understood, Captain. Execute Protocol Phoenix 3. All hidden assets are now authorized for full deployment. The gloves are off." Across human space and beyond, the true scope of humanity's preparations became apparent. Civilian cargo vessels shed their disguises, revealing advanced warships beneath. Mining stations transformed into orbital defense platforms. Even certain moons long thought to be natural satellites split open, disgorging entire battle groups that had waited in silence for generations. On Nexus Prime, the Commonwealth Council watched in stunned disbelief as humanity's hidden might revealed itself. Ambassador Chen stood before them, no longer hiding her true role as a senior coordinator of Earth's defense network. "You call them the Dark Star Collective," she explained, gesturing to the tactical displays showing the alien fleet. "We've been tracking their advance through neighboring galaxies for centuries. While you debated trade agreements, we analyzed their attack patterns. While you celebrated peace, we developed countermeasures." Ambassador Tikara's feathers bristled with indignation. "You deceived us all. The very foundation of the Commonwealth was built on trust." "No," Chen countered firmly. "The foundation was built on peace. We simply ensured that peace would endure. Would you have preferred we left you defenseless?" Before anyone could respond, the main display flickered. The alien commander appeared, a beam of shifting shadows and crackling energy. When it spoke, its voice seemed to bypass sound entirely, resonating directly in the minds of all present. "Commonwealth species," it intoned, "we are the Dark Star Collective. Your time of stagnation ends. Submit to harvesting or face extinction." The transmission cut off as abruptly as it had begun. In the ensuing silence, Chen turned to her fellow ambassadors. "Now you understand why we prepared." The battle for the Outer Rim intensified. Human ships, employing tactics refined through countless simulations, struck at the Dark Star forces with surgical precision. But the aliens adapted quickly, their technology learning and evolving with each exchange. Commander Wang's voice carried urgency as he reported to Kovac. "Captain, they're modulating their shields faster than we can recalibrate. We need to change tactics." Kovac smiled coldly. "Then let's show them what human creativity looks like. Execute Maneuver Prometheus 7. The human fleet suddenly scattered, appearing to retreat in disorder. The Dark Star forces, sensing victory, pursued eagerly, directly into a carefully prepared trap. Hidden mines activated, creating a maze of gravitational anomalies. Human ships wheel about, using the chaos to strike at now vulnerable enemy vessels. On a dozen worlds across the Commonwealth, similar scenes played out. Human agricultural stations revealed themselves as planetary defense networks. Research satellites unleashed experimental weapons. Every contingency, every scenario that humanity had secretly prepared for over 3 millennia was now being put to the test. In the Fool system, Ambassador Kirix watched in amazement as a human trade station single-handedly repelled a Dark Star assault force. The station's commander, a cheerful woman who had sold him exotic spices just weeks before, now coordinated a defense that would have made ancient warriors proud. "I don't understand." Kirix pulsed to his aid. "How did we never suspect?" "Because we forgot what vigilance looks like," his aide replied. "We forgot that peace must be guarded." The real shock came when Admiral Drake revealed humanity's masterstroke. Deep in the heart of human space, on a world marked on all charts as quarantined due to plague, lay the true Phoenix Command, a massive military complex that had been continuously staffed and updated for 3,000 years. From this hidden fortress, Drake commanded not just ships, but an entire shadow infrastructure. Intelligence networks that had monitored potential threats, research facilities that had never stopped developing new technologies, and training academies that had produced generations of secret protectors. All units, Drake's voice resonated across encrypted channels. Initiate Phase 2. Show them why humanity survived when so many others fell. The human forces shifted from defense to offense. Ships that had seemed evenly matched suddenly revealed hidden capabilities. Weapons that had appeared conventional demonstrated devastating secondary functions. The Dark Star Collective, accustomed to overwhelming primitive civilizations, found themselves facing an opponent that had spent 3 millennia preparing specifically for them. In the council chambers, as reports of human victories began to flow in, the other species' attitudes shifted from outrage to awe. The praetor approached Chen, his crystalline form dimmed with humility. We owe you an apology, Ambassador." "No, Commander," he corrected himself, noting the military insignia she now wore openly. "We grew complacent in our peace." Chen shook her head. "Peace was never a mistake, Praetor. It gave us time to prepare, to develop, to ensure that when war came again, we would be ready. The mistake would have been thinking peace was permanent." "But why?" asked Ambassador Tikera. "Why did humanity alone maintain this vigilance?" "Because we remember," Chen replied simply. "Our history is written in blood and struggle. We learned that the universe is not kind, that peace is not a natural state, but a precious achievement that must be defended. We swore never to be caught unprepared again." The tide of battle turned decisively when other Commonwealth species, inspired by humanity's example, began to contribute to the defense. The Velothians offered their advanced sensor networks. The Eltharians provided energy technologies. Even the peaceful Thulians revealed ancient knowledge of spatial manipulation that proved invaluable against the Dark Star's adaptive shields. As the second day of the war drew to a close, it became clear that the Dark Star Collective had severely underestimated their opponents. They had expected to find a soft, decadent civilization ripe for conquest. Instead, they had awakened a sleeping giant, one that had never truly slept at all. Admiral Drake surveyed the tactical situation with satisfaction tempered by caution. "They'll be back," he warned his staff. "Stronger, angrier, more determined. This was just their opening move." "Then we'll be ready," replied his second-in-command, Admiral Yuki Tanaka. "After all, we've had 3,000 years to prepare for their every possible strategy." Drake nodded, but his expression remained grave. "Prepare all fleets for Phase 3. If our intelligence is correct, the real test is yet to come." In the depths of space, as human and Dark Star forces continued their deadly dance, humanity's greatest secret remained hidden. The Phoenix Protocol was more than just military preparation. It was a complete transformation of human society, a civilization that had learned to wear peace as a mask while never forgetting the warrior's way. The galaxy was learning that humans hadn't just maintained weapons and ships. They had maintained the will to fight, the courage to sacrifice, and the determination to protect those who could not protect themselves. As the war entered its next phase, one truth became increasingly clear. Humanity had not preserved the peace by abandoning war, but by mastering it so completely that they could choose when to reveal their true nature. When peace demands warriors, the third wave of the Dark Star invasion struck with unprecedented fury. Unlike their probing attacks of the previous days, this assault aimed directly at the heart of the Commonwealth, the core worlds where billions of peaceful citizens had lived without fear for millennia. Admiral Drake stood in the Phoenix Command War Room, surrounded by holographic displays showing the dire situation. The Dark Star had learned from their earlier defeats, adapting their tactics with frightening efficiency. Their ships now moved in complex formations that neutralized many of humanity's prepared strategies. "They're heading for Eltharia Prime," reported Admiral Tanaka, highlighting the projected course of the largest enemy fleet. "If they take the Eltharian homeworld, the Commonwealth's spiritual heart falls with it," Drake finished grimly. "Signal all reserve fleets. Everything we've held back, Every asset we've kept hidden, it all deploys now. Across the galaxy, humanity's final secrets were revealed. Entire asteroid fields came alive as camouflaged battle stations powered up. Derelict ships thought lost to history centuries ago emerged from hidden bases, their systems modernized but their legendary names intact. The indomitable spirit, the last stand, the never surrender, vessels whose names alone carried the weight of human determination. On Eltheria Prime, panic gripped the crystalline cities as evacuation efforts began. The Eltharians, who had led the galaxy into its age of peace, now faced extinction. Their own defensive capabilities, atrophied from disuse, could offer little resistance. But humanity had not forgotten its friends. Captain Maria Santos of the Unconquered led the relief force, her battle group appearing in Eltharian space mere hours before the Dark Star fleet arrived. As her ships took position around the planet, she opened a channel to the surface. "People of Eltheria," she announced, 3,000 years ago, you showed us a better way. You taught us that peace was possible. Today we repay that debt. Today we stand for you as you once stood for us." The battle that followed would be remembered as the turning point of the war. Human ships fought with a ferocity that stunned even their allies, employing tactics that seemed to defy the laws of physics. But it wasn't just their weapons or strategies that proved decisive. It was their willingness to sacrifice. When a massive Dark Star dreadnought broke through the defensive line, heading straight for Eltheria Prime's capital, Commander John MacArthur of the Resolute made a choice that exemplified human courage. "All hands," he announced calmly, "prepare for ramming speed." His crew didn't hesitate. The Resolute, a ship that had secretly patrolled the Commonwealth's borders for generations, accelerated to impossible velocities and struck the dreadnought head-on. Both vessels vanished in a blinding explosion, but the capital was saved. This act of sacrifice galvanized the Commonwealth forces. Inspired by human courage, species that had forgotten how to fight found their warrior spirits rekindled. Veluthian pilots flew alongside human squadrons, learning and adapting. Thulian engineers worked miracles keeping damaged ships operational. Even the peaceful Miriathi, known for their philosophical pursuits, contributed by predicting enemy movements through complex mathematical models. In the Phoenix Command, Admiral Drake received an urgent message from Deep Space Reconnaissance. His expression darkened as he read it. "Admiral," Tanaka inquired, noting his superior's concern. "We found their objective," Drake replied, bringing up a star chart. "They're not here to conquer. They're here to harvest." The data revealed the horrifying truth. The Dark Star Collective didn't want subjects or territory. They wanted resources. Specifically, they consumed the neural energy of sentient beings, and the Commonwealth's 3,000 years of peace had created the largest concentration of developed consciousness in the known universe. "They see us as crops," Drake muttered, "ripe for harvesting after millennia of cultivation." This revelation changed everything. The war wasn't about expansion or dominance. It was about survival in its most primal form. "Signal all commands," Drake ordered. "Authorization Omega. Deploy the Prometheus Array." Humanity's ultimate contingency activated. Hidden satellites throughout Commonwealth space aligned, creating a network that military planners had hoped would never be needed. The Prometheus Array was humanity's answer to extinction-level threats, a weapon that could rewrite the very fabric of space. As the array powered up, Ambassador Chen addressed the Commonwealth Council one final time. 3,000 years ago, humanity chose peace, but we never forgot that peace is not the absence of conflict. It's what's worth fighting for. The Dark Stars see our peace as weakness, our compassion as vulnerability. They're about to learn how wrong they are. The final battle erupted across multiple star systems simultaneously. Human commanders, coordinating through quantum-encrypted networks, orchestrated a symphony of destruction that demonstrated why their species had survived, when so many others had fallen to history. The Dark Star adapted, evolved, and pressed their attack with desperate fury. They had traveled across galaxies, consuming countless civilizations, and they would not be denied their harvest. But humanity had one advantage the Dark Star couldn't match. They fought not for conquest or consumption, but for love, love of peace, love of their allies, love of the future they had helped build. When the Prometheus array fired, it didn't destroy the Dark Star fleet. It did something far more profound. The weapon created a resonance field that disrupted the neural energy patterns the Dark Star fed upon, essentially making the Commonwealth's consciousness indigestible. Faced with starvation if they remained, the Dark Star Collective had no choice but to retreat. Their departure was not a rout, but a strategic withdrawal, their ships vanishing into the void as quickly as they had appeared. In the aftermath, as the Commonwealth began to assess the damage and mourn their losses, a profound change swept through the galactic civilization. The illusion of permanent peace had been shattered, but something stronger had taken its place, an understanding that peace must be actively maintained, not passively assumed. Admiral Drake stood before the assembled Commonwealth Council, his uniform now worn openly with pride rather than hidden in shame. For 3,000 years, humanity carried the burden of vigilance alone, he said. We watched the borders, developed the weapons, and trained the warriors, all while maintaining the facade of complete pacifism. We did this not because we love war, but because we cherish peace enough to fight for it. The praetor stepped forward, his crystalline form now bearing marks of respect. Will you continue to protect us? Drake smiled. No, praetor. From now on, we protect each other. The age of hidden guardians is over. The age of shared responsibility begins. Over the following months, the Commonwealth transformed. Military academies opened on every member world, but they taught more than combat. They taught the philosophy of the warrior protector, the guardian who fights so others needn't. Human instructors shared their knowledge freely, holding nothing back. The species of the Commonwealth learned not just how to fight, but when to fight, and more importantly, when not to. A new doctrine emerged: peace through vigilance, strength through unity, victory through sacrifice. Years later, when historians looked back on the Dark Star War, they marked it not as the end of the Commonwealth's golden age, but as its true beginning. For it was only when faced with annihilation that the galaxy learned the most profound truth about peace. It is not a gift to be received, but a treasure to be guarded. In the reconstructed council chambers, a new motto was inscribed, written in all the languages of the Commonwealth. 3,000 years of peace ended in fire, but from that fire rose the true guardians of tomorrow. And among those guardians, humanity stood tall, no longer hiding in the shadows, but leading from the front, their warrior spirit tempered by wisdom, their strength guided by compassion. The Phoenix Protocol had served its purpose. Humanity's long vigil had been vindicated, and while they prayed the galaxy would never again know war, they ensured that if it did, they would be ready. For that is what it means to be human, to hope for peace while preparing for war, to extend the hand of friendship while keeping the sword sharp, and to remember always that the price of peace is eternal vigilance. As the stars continued their eternal dance, the Commonwealth entered a new era, one where peace was not taken for granted, but actively maintained by all who benefited from it. And at the forefront of this new age stood humanity, the species that had never forgotten how to be warriors, so that others could learn how to be protectors.